Well, that was the issue.
It's a new agenda. It's the same, isn't it? Pretty much.
Everybody ready?
Yep.
Mike? Okay. I'd like to call this March 15th session of the Holyoke City Council to order. The clerk will call the roll and record those members present.
Bartley.
Here.
Bresnahan. Shatnoff.
Here.
Graney.
Here.
Jourdain.
Here.
Leahy.
Present.
LeBrun Martinez. Lisi. McGee. McGivern.
Here.
Roman.
Here.
Sullivan.
Here.
Tolman.
Here.
Bacon.
Here.
Valentine.
Here.
All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
God bless America.
In the city of Holyoke. We have some special guests this evening, and first I'd like to recognize Councilor Bacon for the presentation of the proclamation for the Holyoke Rotary Club. If you would be kind enough to welcome our guests up to the rostrum for a presentation, and whoever's going to be coming from the Rotary, please come. I see Helene is here. Welcome. Welcome. Congratulations. Whoever's going to accept the award and maybe say a few words. Unless there's going to be, you're going to be in. Oh, good. Okay. Linda?
Is that Louis Silver?
It is, yeah, I think it is.
Holy crow, I haven't seen him in years.
That's right.
I'd like to certainly Councilor Bacon as well as Helene Florio, neither one of them need any introduction, but just on my own behalf, I want to thank the Holyoke Rotary for really all the tremendous work, civic engagement that they do, and tremendous guidance for helping the community. As professionals, they continue to go above and beyond to help make Holyoke a better place. And I just think how quickly 100 years went by. And we're so so thankful to have them on behalf of the entire membership to be here today. And Linda, if you would be kind enough to read the proclamation, and then if Helene, if you'd be kind enough to say a few words.
My pleasure. Thank you. It's a great pleasure for me to have the honor of offering this proclamation. The official wording is, be it resolved that the Holyoke City Council extends its congratulations to Holyoke Rotary Club in recognition of a century of serving the Holyoke community and celebrating the past, present, and future. And be it further resolved that the Holyoke City Council extends its best wishes for continued success, that this resolution be duly signed by the President of the City Council and attested to, and a copy thereof transmitted to the Clerk of the City of Holyoke. Signed by our President, Kevin Jourdain, President of the City Council. It's a great pleasure for me to present this proclamation to Helene Florio on behalf of the Rotary Club. And many of you know the Rotary Club for its local work, but they're also national and international with the reach of the club. But I won't steal Helene's words, so.
I need a steppy stool. But thank you very much. Holyoke Rotary will be 100 years old on April 1st. Friday night, that April 1st, we're having a big gala at Wisteriahurst, and we've worked very hard to keep the price very low at $25 a piece, and we're hoping that people will come and join us. And they are going to be storing, and they will have an exhibit opening that night of 100 years of the archives for 100 years, and we're thrilled to be able to do this with the Wisteriahurst people. We've been working hard with Penny Martorell and with Kate and the whole crew up there. So you're all invited. As Linda said, we're part of an international organization. We're one of about 34,000 Rotary clubs in the world. And here in Holyoke, we have about 75 very active members. We have projects that are international, and you've probably heard our big project. We've adopted Kelly School locally, and our project is literacy. And right now we're working off a pledge of $30,000 to the school, and we worked with the staff there, and we're putting iPads into, I get the word wrong, but we're putting iPads into the first grade classes for 5 years, and then the children get to use them throughout their time at the Kelly School. And so far we're into the 3rd year of the project, and it's going extremely well. And the literacy rates have climbed, and they're tracking it all, so we're very proud of that local one. Just before that, we did the children's room at the library, and we put the clock that's been all over Facebook and all of the stuff the last week. That's the Rotary clock in front of the library. So thank you for this. We hope to see you on April 1st, and we appreciate it. Thanks for everybody that's here.
Great to see you. Thank you. Yeah, that's what appreciate everything you guys do for us. Oh, sign up sheet? Congratulations. Oh, okay. And you have that order for, oh, okay. Well, that's fine. Dave, I'm going to recognize you now on this rule suspension for the, I think we'll do it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
The judges. Yeah. Councilor Bartley.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules, take items
5A
and 25B out of order.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules to go to items 25A and to 25B. We will not be taking these as a package because they're required to be 2 separate votes, but we will, however, take them consecutively and take them up now. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Let me read 25A. 25A, a committee on development and government relations to whom was referred an order that the City Council, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30B, and the City of Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, authorized the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Commonwealth's Office. Actually, I'm going to strike that. I think we should take B up first because it's the declaration of surplus first, even though for whatever reason A came up first. So motion to suspend the rules to take up B first.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. The Committee on Development and Government Relations, to whom was referred an order that the City Council, in accordance with Mass General Law, Chapter 30B, Section 16I, and the City of Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, vote to declare surplus and available for disposition approximately 1,750 square feet of office space within the City Hall Annex Building, being a portion of Assessor's Map 013-07-001. Have considered the same, recommend that the order be adopted. Councilors Bartley, Tallman, Sullivan, and Roman.
Motion to adopt the committee report.
Okay, motion
Second.
made and seconded to receive the committee report and adopt. I'm going to recognize Councilor McGivern.
Thank you, Mr. President.
After consulting with the Law Department and a consultation with the State Ethics Commission, I have found out that due to my employment with the Probation Department in the Mass Trial Court, I, for the first time in 37 years, have a conflict of interest. Therefore, I will not be participating in debate nor taking a vote.
Okay. Thank you, Councilor McGivern. On A and B. Recognizing under discussion, Councilor Bartley, the chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President, and thanks to the committee. Did a lot of work that night on this and the order that's going to follow later tonight, 25C. So this is an order I filed a couple years ago, and so it's now come to fruition. Essentially, the city of Holyoke again opens up his arms to our veterans, and what we're going to do with this order and the next order and I'll go into it with the next order. There's a little bit of office space, just so the city council knows, directly across the courtyard, if you will, from the district court. And that office space, it's about 1,750 square feet, and it was used for many years by the Hampton County Sheriff's Department. Well, now the probation department has come before us, and we'll talk about it in a minute. And what they want to do is use that space for a trial court for veterans. And so, in this order, we're suspending the rules. We're asking the City Council to declare this surplus. So, and then when we get to the next order, I'll talk about a little bit more about what is the trial court wants to do.
Any discussion? Okay. There being no discussion, the clerk will call the roll. A yes vote is in favor of adopting 25B and declaring this space, office space, available for disposition and surplus.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatnoff?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
By your vote, you have adopted item number 25B.
Motion to take up 25A.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to take up 25A. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. The Committee on Development and Government Relations, to whom was referred an order that the City Council, in accordance with Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30B, and the City of Holyoke Procurement Ordinance, authorized the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Commonwealth's Office of the Commissioner of Probation for the use of approximately 1,750 square feet of office space located in the City Hall Annex basement, being a portion of the Assessor's Map 013-07-001. Have considered the same. Recommend that the order be adopted. Councilors Bartley, Tallman, Sullivan, and Roman.
Motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Okay,
Second.
motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Bartley.
Thank you, Mr. President. So before us last week, we had several distinguished guests, the Chief Probation Officer from the District Court, the Deputy Commissioner for Probation Department, and we had two of the justices of the Mass Trial Court with us, including Judge Walsh, who's here with us tonight, been gracious enough to attend. And so they really went into the nuts and bolts of what's going to happen. So this was actually, I think in the subcommittee's opinion, this is, while the City of Holyoke again opens up his arms, it's really an honor for the City of Holyoke, because here we're going to have a court dedicated to help veterans, and it's going to be the only one of its kind in Hampton, Hampshire, and Franklin. And I think, if I believe I'm right, I think it's the third one in the Commonwealth right now dedicated to veterans. So what's going to happen here is every Wednesday at 2:30, I believe, Judge McLeod and/or Judge Walsh will preside, and it'll be for veterans, and these are going to be, they're not indictable offenses, but they're going to be misdemeanors and felonies where veterans, but for this service, Mr. President, could face jail time. And so that's not what this society is about. That's not what Holyoke's about, or the Commonwealth. So there's a program that's, both the justices and the probation office, they've done a great deal of training. There's more training, how to help these veterans that are in need for various reasons, and I'm not going to pretend that I know all the reasons, but there are a lot of things, post-traumatic stress syndrome, etc. And so here we have a And just as far as the city of Holyoke's perspective, there was some discussion. It was a fair point as to, there's no rent being charged. It is a 3-year lease agreement. This doesn't automatically extend. The parties have to agree to extend it. But essentially, the trial court's going to carry its own weight on this. They're going to pay for the heat and the electricity and clean up the place. And the DPW, as we usually do, they'll take care of the plaza and the rest of that and make sure it's shoveled out. So a lot of people did a lot of hard work on this. From our solicitor's office to the trial court, and they really ought to be credited. But it was, in my opinion, and I think the committee's opinion, the MOU that's been proposed, it's fair to both parties, and I hope everyone will support it. Thank you.
Great. Any question, comments, discussion? Councilor Tallman.
Yeah, just as one of 2 veterans on the city council here, I'm very much in support of this this program, and thank Judge Walsh and the probation department for coming down and explaining it to us. This is something that is sort of new in our community and in the state, and hopefully it'll be something that could taken across the country, because many veterans that are serving right now in different wars and even in peacetime have difficulties when they leave the service. So this is something to help them along, to give them a chance, and it's a very strict guidelines that they're following with probation and everything. So I think this is a great program. I'm very supportive of it, and I wish the program well, and invite anybody to go down there to see it, as the judge invited us, the committee, on Wednesdays approximately 2 p.m. to see how this program is working. Thank you.
Councilor Graney.
Anytime we can help our men and women who have served our country, it's a great thing. So I'm in full support of this.
Councilor Bartley.
I neglected to say, Mr. President, I believe the ribbon cutting, if this is approved, is May 21st. Sorry, May 20th. Sorry about that. At what time?
War Memorial.
2 p.m. at the War Memorial. Okay, so there you go. So the 20th of May, which I believe is a Friday. Do I have that right? Okay. All right.
Finally, something right.
Yeah, Brezzi's always right there keeping score. That's what I like about him. I appreciate that. Believe me, Counselor.
We fact check everything here. Yeah.
So the 20th of May at 2 p.m. at the War Memorial, and I think that'll be a really important ceremony. Thank you.
Excellent. And we want to thank Judge Walsh for coming here. We greatly appreciate that. That means a lot to us. Any other discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll on adoption of 25A and the granting and approval of this agreement.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatna?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
14 yeas and 1 abstain.
By your vote, you've unanimously approved that, and we wish them the very best. Good luck. We have 2 items currently laid on the table. Is there any motions relative to either one of these? First relates to the poll regarding Verizon New England. The other is the parking ordinances related to Leary Drive. Okay, we have nothing on either of those, so those 2 will stay on the floor. And now we go to public comment. We had 6 citizens sign up for public comment, and I'd like to recognize them at this time. And just remind our speakers, you have 2 minutes each, please. And the first up is Tyler Ingraham of 290 Linden Street. Tyler, welcome.
Good evening, everyone.
If you could just use the microphone, please, for the folks at home. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. I just want to say thank you all for approving the Veterans Court. This is a great step forward. Specialty courts are a great thing, right? But what I'd like to ask everyone here to do tonight is to allow Tapestry to continue making Holyoke safe. And I say that because if they're not operating, there are more dirty needles on the streets, they are not educating people, and I think that as someone who has a child in Holyoke, it makes me feel better when he goes to the store to pick something up, to know that there are fewer dirty needles on the street. So I just ask you to do the right thing and keep Holyoke safe. Thank you very much. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Next up is Gabriel Quaglia of 13 Harrison Avenue. Gabriel, welcome.
Quaglia. You'll get it eventually. I'll keep coming.
You got to speak more often. I'll give me more practice.
My name is Gabriel Quaglia. I live on Harrison Avenue here in Holyoke. First, counselors, I'd like to thank you all for your service, whether or not we agree or disagree on these matters. I'm a person in long-term recovery. What that means for me is that I haven't had a drink or a drug since October 1st, 2011. Sure. Throughout the 1990s, the majority of my friends were active IV drug users. Contrary to the stereotype, many of them had jobs and were loving and kind people. They were also beloved sons and daughters, sisters and brothers. Many of them are now dead because they didn't have the naloxone Tapestry helps get into the community. I had to watch the pain on mothers' and fathers' faces as they put their children into the ground. Also, there are many people I know now who are in long-term recovery just like me, who are a productive member of society, people you probably interact with, all of you, on a daily basis, who don't even know it, but you don't even know it. They have HIV or hepatitis because they weren't able to use the services Tapestry offers in our community. In the recovery community, I am now seeing people dying and getting sick at a rate that makes the epidemic in the 1990s looks like a child's birthday party. Some of you are sitting there and you know me well. Others only have an inkling of who I am. If you get to know me, you'll know this. I didn't come here tonight for prestige, for power, to get on TV, whatever. I'd rather be watching Netflix with my son right now. I'm here because I care about people, and I'm here because I know for a fact that Tapestry Needle Exchange saves lives and improves them until people can find their way to help and to recovery. Tapestry gives people the space to live and actually achieve their potentials as human beings. I want to thank you all very much.
Thank you. Appreciate your thoughts. Next up is Barbara Blodgett of 171 Hillside Avenue. Barbara, welcome.
Hi. I'm interested in the progress regarding the collection of the sewer fees. I understand a lien has been, can you hear me all right?
Oh, yeah.
I understand that a lien has been put on the real estate bills of people who owe the fees, and I was interested to know how successful you folks have been in collecting unpaid money. Any ideas? You want to talk about it?
Councilor Lisi, I could certainly call you and give you some statistics, in my opinion, Barbara. I'll follow up with you, but Councilor Lisi?
Thank you. I think that it's a question for our treasurer and tax collector, and I think that what the next thing to do would be is file an order and ask them to come in here and do a presentation on how that program is going and how successful it's been. So getting an update.
Would you have to do that to call and ask them to come?
Sure.
Yeah, I'll file the order this evening on your behalf so that we could get them in and have that conversation.
Okay, okay. Does the city council have anything to do with the new format of the excise tax bills? It does state on the bill that the Department of Revenue has approved the form. Do you folks have anything to do with that, or is it strictly from the department?
The tax collector only, yeah, not
the
us.
Tax collector?
Yep. Acting.
I did go to the office of the tax. It says right on the form, if you have any questions, go to the assessor's office or the tax collector's office. And I did go to both of them, and I don't know any more now than I did before I stood up here. And the assessor, I have to say this, the assessor was not very pleasant. He did not like the idea that I was questioning him. So there you have it. On the subject of the needle exchange program, what are the chances that the City Council will vote in favor of it now that you have been included in the progress?
To be determined.
To be determined.
Yep.
That's all she wrote.
All right.
I'm done.
Thank you so much. Great to see you again, Barbara. All the best. Thank you. All right, next speaker up is Jeffrey Anderson Burgos of 236 Locust Street. Welcome, Jeffrey.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm also here to speak in favor of the needle exchange program. I'd like to say, when I recall an ad from when I was a child showing a man running while a child's voice said, "When I grow up, I want to be a track star." We then see a police officer coming up behind the man, grabbing him, while a man's voice says, "No one ever says I want to be a junkie when I grow up." The ad was sponsored by the Partnership for Drug-Free America. No doubt many of you may remember that ad. The reason this ad comes to mind is the narrator's statement. No one ever says, "I want to be a junkie when I grow up." In the past, I've heard members of this community and some of this legislative body degrade and dehumanize the people who participate in this program. Judging from the kind of language I have heard, you would think that these people were dropped into our community from some distant planet, already addicted, as soulless as the stereotype presented in that ad. No one ever says, "I want to be a junkie when I grow up." No, they don't. They dream of running track, running businesses, and running for president. The reality is that these people are in fact doing both. The reality is that the people who struggle with addiction are not the other, some shadowy entity lurking in our community. They are running track, running businesses, and maybe even running for president. They are also finding themselves victim to a disease that crept up on them until they suddenly realize they're losing or already have lost control. Sure, you might say that some of them chose to take that first hit or gave in to peer pressure in high school. Many of them also set down that path because an unfortunate accident got them addicted to prescribed painkillers. It honestly does not matter how they got there because they are all a part of our community. In reality, this is not about who they are. This is about who we are. This is about us seeking mercy instead of judgment, about us empathizing instead of condemning. This is about compassion, not just for those who need direct help, people who may be struggling to find any compassion for themselves, but the secondary victims as well. The people using this program are somebody's child, somebody's parent, and somebody's friend. Programs like this are not intended to fix the problem. They are meant as a stopgap to mitigate some of the worst effects of drug addiction, spread of disease, and death of people we care about and love. A stopgap while we try to grapple with long-lasting permanent solutions to this issue affecting communities around this country. This is not about who they are. This is about who we are, because at the end of the day, they are a part of the we that makes up our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Tanya Perrone of 48 Holy Family Road. Tanya, welcome.
Hi, my name is Tanya Perrin, and I reside at 48 Holy Family Road. I'm a registered nurse and a caregiver. I am here today to speak in favor of the Holyoke Needle Exchange Program. This program is about saving lives and helping people prevent themselves from contracting diseases such as hepatitis C and HIV. It's about helping individuals that are suffering from an addiction. I personally have family members who suffer from addiction, and I know that many of us in this room are close to someone who struggles with substance abuse. As a healthcare professional and a loved one of people who suffer from addiction, it is my obligation to protect my patients and loved ones and to find ways to ensure their safety and health. According to the Code of Ethics for Nurses with Interpretive Statements, advocating for patients is a core principle and an obligation of nursing. And I'm here today to do just that. Please vote in favor of any forthcoming orders to authorize the Holyoke Needle Exchange Program. It saves lives. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but certainly not least, Elvin Bruno Jr. of 85 Chestnut Street. Elvin, welcome.
Hi, my name is Elvin Bruno Jr. I live at 85 Chestnut Street. I actually didn't think I would get to speak tonight. I just rushed back from Bradley Airport, but I wanted to say a few words because when I was 4, my parents separated, and I have not always been close with my father, but 4 or 5 years ago, I found out that my dad was sick, and all of my life I've known that he's struggled with drug addiction. And when I found out that he was sick, I was really afraid that he might have cancer, but I found out that he had HIV. This isn't something that I've ever shared with anyone before, but I think with the news on the Holyoke Needle Exchange Program in front of us, I think it's important to be here advocating for the City Council to authorize this program here in Holyoke, because if it had existed before, my dad may not have HIV. if he had access to clean needles, he may not have HIV. And that would be the case for many other people here in Holyoke. And this is my community, and I think that I want my city councilors to be advocating for the right thing and to save other people's lives, like my dad. So please do that when this order comes in front of you to authorize the needle exchange program here in Holyoke. I appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. That's, okay, what's your name, sir?
Jose from 245 Walnut Street. I live here.
Jose what?
Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
The two top Spanish names.
I'm sorry, Jose. Jose, for the record, what's your residential address?
245 Walnut Street.
Okay. Floor is yours, Jose. Fire away.
Well, you know, obviously there's an overwhelming amount of support for Tapestry Needle Exchange here. And this is a humanitarian matter, not a property value matter. It's not a matter of what looks nice. We have a big drug problem here, and if we haven't found the heroin dealers, then we're not really in a place to deny a needle exchange service. When they first started in the 90s, well, when they really started to work, it reduced the transference of HIV by 80%. Now, it didn't stop drug use. They're going to get it, you know, they're going to find a way to inject it. They want it more than food and water and air and love. They're going to get it. If we shut down Tapestry Needle Exchange without a substitution for it, I don't know whether they just open improperly, but if we were to not allow them to offer their service here without also offering a substitute needle exchange in its place, one that also does, you know, HIV tests and education. It's proven all over the world. I have a list of references I can email you all later. But there's thousands of articles and verifiable medical databases that prove the effectiveness of these centers. And if we shut it down with the problem that we have here, it would be, the most polite way to put it is irresponsible and ill-conceived.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, well, we thank you, Jose, for coming. All right, moving right along, we appreciate our guests, and we now have communications, and we're up to item number 3. Item number 3, a communication from Mayor Alex Morris, a letter appointing Deborah Aloisi of 147 Sycamore Street to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. Ms. Aloisi will serve a 3-year term. Said term will expire in March of 2019.
Motion to refer to public service.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to send to public service. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved.
Item 4 and 5 is a package, please.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to take up, suspend the rules to take up items 4 and 5 as a package. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 4 is a communication from the mayor. It's a letter reappointing Kim Ferris of 104 Cross Road to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities. She will serve a 3-year term expiring in March of 2019. Item number 5 is a communication from the mayor reappointing James Mahoney as a Director of Veteran Services. Mr. Mahoney will serve a 1-year term from the date of confirmation and shall expire in April of 2017.
Receive, confirm the reappointment.
Second.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to receive both of these appointments and confirm both. Any discussion? Councilor Bartley.
Quickly, I was negligent. I didn't mention that Mr. Mahoney was here for the Veterans Court as well, and he gave an excellent presentation. A few weeks ago, Mr. President, I met with the chair of the commissioner, the War Memorial Commissioners, as well as Mr. Mahoney, about some various matters, and I can't recommend him enough. I think we're very lucky to have him working for the city of Holyoke.
That's great. Okay, very good. Any other questions, comments? Okay. All in favor of approving both of these appointments?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 6. Item number 6 is a communication from Brenna Murphy McGee, our city clerk, as well as Ryan Allen, who's the administrative assistant to the city council. It's the minutes of March 2nd, 2016.
Receive.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and to approve the minutes of that meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 7. Item number 7 is a communication from Bellamy Schmidt, our acting city auditor. These are the monthly budget reports for the general fund as well as the wastewater treatment plant as of January 31st, 2016.
Send to finance.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and refer to finance. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 8. Item number 8 is a communication from Cheryl Dugree, the Executive Director of the Retirement Board. It's a letter of notification that the Retirement Board voted to accept a FY 2017 cost of living adjustment in the amount of 3% on the first $12,000 of retirement allowance. And this has been going on for quite a number of years.
Receive, sent to finance.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and refer to finance. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 9. Item number 9 is a communication from Alicia Zeller. She's the administrator of the Office of Community Development. It's a letter regarding the federal fiscal year 2016 Committee on Development and Government Relations. She, in this, has put together all of the allocations from all the various stages, from OCD to the Citizens Advisory Council to the mayor's preliminaries to the Committee on Development and Government Relations allocations. And this will be shortly before the body for our consideration. Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to receive. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 10. Item number 10 is a communication from the BSC Group, Inc. on behalf of the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority, connect, construct, and create a plan for the revitalization of the Center City Holyoke environmental notification form. Is there any action required as a result of this? Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to receive. Do we need to send it to a committee for review, or?
Let's send it to DGNR.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to receive, refer to DGNR just for a review in case there's some action required. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Suspend the rules and take 11 through 18 as a packet, please.
Motion's been made and seconded to suspend the rules to take items 11 through 18 as a package. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 11 is the Holyoke Board of Health minutes from February 4th, 2016. Item number 12 is the Holyoke Redevelopment Authority minutes of the regular and annual meeting of December 16th, 2015. Item number 13 is from the Board of Public Works minutes of January 25th, 2016. Item number 14 is the minutes from the Sewer Commission for January 25th, 2016. Item number 15 is from the Stormwater Authority minutes of January 25th, 2016. Item number 16 is from the Fairfield Avenue Local Historic Commission Annual Report of 2014 through 2015. Item number 17 is from the Holyoke Historical Commission. It's the annual report of 2014 through 2015. And item number 18 is also from the Holyoke Historical Commission. It's their minutes of their January 11th, 2016 meeting.
Be received.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that items 11 through 18 all be received. Any discussion? Councilor Graney.
Yeah, just quickly on item number 14, the Sewer Commission, just to mention there's 881 people that owe the money, $90,959 that is owed the city. Hopefully we're going to start to collect that money at some point.
Yeah. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Petitions.
19 and 20 as a package, please.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to take up items 19 and 20 as a package. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Item number 19 is a petition of William F. Sullivan and Company, Inc. for renewal of their second-hand license for 1 Jed Days Landing. Item number 20 is a petition of the William F. Sullivan and Company for renewal of their second-hand license for 107 Appleton Street.
Receive and grant both renewals pending all municipal fees and taxes are paid.
Second.
As well as any pre-existing conditions.
Yes.
Okay, motion's been made and set. Yes, Councilor Graney.
Jed Days Landing, could you give me a location on that?
Springdale.
Springdale. Okay.
Yeah, it's a little back street that goes towards the dike. Motion on the floor has been made and seconded to receive both of these petitions, to grant their renewals pending that all taxes and otherwise have been paid, and I am seeing on both of these that all taxes and other municipal charges are in fact current, and if there are any pre-existing conditions, and did I miss anything else? I think I covered all of it. That is now before the body. Any discussion? Hearing none. The clerk will call the roll. We're going to vote on these as a package, 19 and 20. A yes vote is in favor of granting these two renewals. A no vote is to deny both.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatna? Yes. Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes.
LeBron Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee? Yes. McGivern?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Unanimous vote of the body.
By your unanimous vote, you've approved the petitions of the William F. Sullivan Company for both of their locations. President's report. Okay, I have a number of items I'd like to go over for this particular meeting. First one is on March 24th. Here at the Public Service Committee, we'll be hosting interviews for our candidates for both the tax collector and city auditor positions. We had 3 candidates apply for tax collector. We had 5 candidates apply for auditor. Okay, and we're going to run those every 20 minutes. And we are going to start, I believe, with auditor.
Yeah.
Huh?
Can you send those out to the applicants?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Just so
In fact, I think I gave those to you. All right,
Mr. President?
The assistant will forward all of the resumes and whatnot to everybody. Yes, Councilman.
Time, March 24th, time.
6 p.m. start time. And so I coordinated with the chairman, Mr. Leahy, and we're going to get cracking. And again, we have 8 candidates to go through for those 2 different offices. So hopefully, potentially, if all of goes well and the consensus is to move forward on 1 candidate for each of these offices, we could be taking votes on April 5th for permanent fills of both of those positions. Okay. All right, so that's an important one. I wanted to thank the Office of Community Development for their great work once again on the CDBG grant, and I also wanted to thank the Government Relations Committee as well for their hard work on that. I know they had about a 3.5-hour meeting to really met their way through all of that, and I want to once again thank Councilor Sullivan for being our representative to the Citizens Advisory Council. You know, special place in heaven for that role. So thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
We really, really appreciate it. Couple things. One is recently the mayor came out with a letter to Gary Rome notifying him. This is something I have talked about with him in principle, and we're both in agreement on it. He recently sent out a letter to Gary Rome, who had, I don't think ever formally, but perhaps verbally had requested a tax incentive agreement on the new parcel located at Whiting Farms Road. He sent him a letter notifying him that he was not in support of that. And I just wanted to state that I also share the mayor's opinion. I also agree with Alex on this. And I did share that view recently at the Holyoke Taxpayers Association for most of the reasons stated in that letter. So if anybody wants to get a copy of that letter, I'd be happy to forward it to you to get you a copy of that. So I did want to point that out. I wanted to mention that I do have an order going in late file for later this evening regarding the police chief issue. Just recently, if you know, in the contract, and they have decided to effectuate this, decided to send starting April 4th, the police chief is going to be leaving the city to go to Virginia for approximately 10 weeks, and he is going to be taking a training down in Virginia, and he is going to be doing that with full pay and benefits while he is gone. I do have some questions. One about, you know, I think it would be helpful if we were to be told, you know, what is the benefit to this? 2, because obviously, you know, congratulations to him. As I stated, you know, that's great for him to have been selected to do this. But what are some of the costs associated with this? It's not just there's the acting out of grade issue. I'm glad I'm raising some of these issues because the mayor now says that apparently they're going to live without one of the captains for the next 10 weeks. But I also have questions related to the travel expenses, hotel expenses, meals expenses, all of these type of things. Hopefully, and we'll make clear that the city will hopefully not be bearing these expenses related to all this. As you know, the police budget is extremely tight. The overall city budget is extremely tight. And so I'm just also want to have a conversation regarding these things, you know, and what is the message? The police officers in their contract are allowed 1 week of training. Here we have someone taking 10 weeks of training. So just want to make sure that there's equitability and fairness between all of the different rules that are going on in the department, and just making sure that we're being sensitive to the other departments who are being asked to do more and more with less and less. So I do have an order that's going to go, and I'm going to ask that we get the answers to these questions going forward now that this has been brought to our attention. Charter schools. I did want to just let folks know that I did, I'm sure I've seen the agenda at this point, I did file an order for asking the City Council to go on record in opposition to raising the cap any further. This issue is pending currently before the state legislature. I believe already with the advent of 2 charter schools in the school district, I also wanted to pair our opinion on this matter with the school committee, who recently voted, I believe unanimously, not to increase the cap any further, and what the impact that would have to the Holyoke Public Schools. So obviously, hopefully we'll have a conversation later on in the meeting, and we'll have a discussion regarding that. The last thing I wanted to mention was obviously the big news that happened yesterday, which is that Judge Mason gave his final decision on the needle exchange case. As you know, this needle exchange was opened back in August of 2012, and this was done under the auspices of the needle exchange statute, which is Chapter 111, and in it there is a provision that requires local approval of these laws. And that local approval, we were told at the time, despite me having both public and private conversations with the mayor, tried over and over to explain this situation, that local approval, all of these, as a general rule, local approval statutes require city council approval. The mayor nevertheless insisted that a vote of the Board of Health and he alone could decree that we would have a needle exchange program in the city of Holyoke. Obviously, the impact of that decision was to illegally usurp our authority as the local legislative body. And so, as promised, I stated that if he decided to go forward with that, I would in fact lead an effort to file a lawsuit to make sure that we establish the Holyoke City Council's authority on this issue. And it should be noted, the real transformation, and it's really too bad, but it's the way the judicial process works. It was a long process. You know, it took 3 years to finally get to where we're at today with a final verdict and decision. But it's really quite interesting, all of the different arguments that were made against the Holyoke City Council. And these will be good for future reference because we solved a lot of questions and a lot of some of these felonious arguments made against the City Council's authority on a lot of different things. One was that the mayor had made a claim that he could, in fact, veto issues related to the internal affairs of the City Council. That court has held he cannot do that. The mayor also stated that the City Council does not have standing in court in order to raise a lawsuit where your authority as a city councilor has been usurped. The court has ruled he was wrong. They also ruled that the city council does not have the right to retain its own legal counsel. This was the mayor's argument, said, and forwarded by the law department, by the way, that the city council did not have the authority to have its own legal counsel to defend itself or to be a plaintiff in a case regarding the city where our powers had been usurped. The judge said that's absolutely wrong. The city solicitor at the time stood on the premise that she and she alone was the legal and chief legal officer of the city of Holyoke, and the city council only could have her as their attorney, despite the obvious conflict there. That was thrown out by the court as an argument, and Judge Carey spoke to that. So time and time and time again, all of these, I'm sorry, Well, that was in a preliminary motion, as you know, this one. Judge Mason made the final, but Judge Carey made these original preliminary rulings on these issues. And so all of these different machinations, all these different hoops the city council had to go through in order just a simple premise that this city council, if we're going to have needle exchange or we're not going to have needle exchange, that the city council had to vote on the issue. And this is really important because local approval is something that we vote on all kinds of issues. As a matter of fact, I mentioned about charter schools. There's a provision pending right now in front of the state legislature that would require, there's an amendment pending regarding having a local approval if they were to raise the cap. That's one of the things that folks are talking about. In fact, Senator Humison and Representative Vega mentioned that to us, that that's one of the provisions that they're thinking about doing that. So would that be the city council? Would that be the mayor? If the statute doesn't specifically say otherwise, that's the city council. So all of the arguments at the time, and if you look at the defendant's answer from the mayor and the city, it was all about city council's wrong, the Board of Health can do this, the mayor's 100% right, he fully has all this authority, the city council's totally wrong, blah, 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 and this goes on and on and on, okay? And so ultimately, I just want to make crystal clear, the judge said what was done was illegal, okay? Let me make that say, what was done was illegal. And they illegally usurped our authority, that they did not have the right to do what they did, and that when we were told we were wrong, no. We were completely 100% vindicated in the authority that this city council has over the matter. And so I just wanted to make that point. And I think it's interesting, once we got to, after 3 years, and we actually got to the summary judgment on it, basically the other side totally abandoned this notion that the mayor and the city council, the Board of Health could go around us and that they were what constituted local approval. Once it became, I think, obvious that the law agreed with us, they began to change their argument, by the way. It became a new argument. It became a new argument that said that some of the 2006 amendments related to decriminalizing the possession of a needle without a prescription, coupled with another law provision that established collection programs, disposal and collection programs. As a matter of fact, we have one up in front of the senior center, which all of us support. Anybody wants to drop off a needle, you can throw it in the box. You're more than welcome to do that. As a matter of fact, they tried to say that that's what constitutes a needle exchange and that city council doesn't need to vote at all. And Judge Mason saw through that and rejected that argument. So they were trying to do an end run around the Chapter 111 statute. And so that didn't work. And basically at the end kind of said, well, I guess the mayor made a mistake. Well, I don't know what to say other than that, but I think the judge's decision was crystal clear on standing on all of these issues so that we as a community can move forward. And whether that means we discuss the merits of this issue now or in some time, but we also need to consider if the mayor is really serious about this new claim that he's going to appeal it, this Judge Mason's decision to the next level of appellate court, what does that mean? And we'll have to consider that. And I think you have to begin at some point wondering why the mayor is spending more and more tax money to defend himself in court on what is, in my opinion, clearly a losing proposition. And on the other hand, what cost did the city council have to continue to litigate this? It should be noted at this point up to here, the city councilors, we chipped into this out of our own pocket. Okay? There's no tax money that paid. I don't have the law department doing our legal work for us. Paid city employees defending the mayor. The city council, we paid the filing fee. That came out of our pockets, all right? No tax money came out. I don't have, Kara and the law department doing our legal work for us. So I think we have to have a whole conversation about that if the mayor is really going to insist on continuing to make this a legal issue and not accept the finding of the court. So we'll see how it proceeds, but that's obviously going to, because if we can't move forward on the legal component and we can't move forward on the mayor agreeing with our authority after all that has been established, how do we ever get to a point where we could actually have a conversation about what's the future of needle exchange in the city? So we'll see how that all goes forward, but I just want to say in final, I was glad that it was clearly established, our authority crystal clear. So happy to take any questions. Councilor McGivern.
Just on the legal part, Mr. President, now that the courts have ruled that it's the city council who was in the correct and it was our authority who was usurped and the mayor is incorrect, if he does appeal, this time the law department represents us and he can get his own lawyer.
We should have a conversation about that. That's a great point. Councilor Lisi.
Thank you. Could someone just please explain, is the city's lawyers involved in making the defending case, or I was under the impression that it was Tapestry Health that was the defendant and we were a party to Tapestry with
Sure.
their lawyers?
Sure. Tapestry has there's multiple defendants. There's the city of Holyoke, there's Mayor Alex Morse, and there's the 3 members of the Board of Health, all in their official capacities because they took action. Kara has been representing the city of Holyoke, Mayor Alex Morse, and the 3 members of the Board of Health. Attorney Newman and Attorney Michael Aleo have been representing Tapestry. So these are, so if that, hopefully that answers your question. So yes, the law department has been representing the mayor and the Board of Health.
Sure, they are representing the mayor and the Board of Health, but are they actively litigating? Like, is the city?
Sure, they're signing the briefs. Kara appeared in court. I stood on the opposite side. As much as I respect Kara Cunha, we were on the opposite sides of this one, and I know she has a job to do, so I don't take this personal with her. But you know, yes, she was there, and she made argument on behalf of the mayor and the Board of Health, and Attorney Newman made his oral arguments in favor of Tapestry, and Attorney Brunolt represented the city council, and that was the scene last week.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So there you have that. Oh, so the final punchline was that the judge ruled, just so we're clear, that he said that the program was ordered closed. However, he stayed that order for 120 days for the city council to consider whether or not it wanted to adopt or reject the program or take, quite frankly, no action. It was simply we consider or not, but after 120 days, the program has to stop the distribution of needles. This is a very important point. There was never any concern by us or anyone else that they can continue to counsel people, they can continue to go out and help people, they can continue to run all the other functions of the program. As a matter of fact, they can go and receive needles, as many as they want. There isn't the slight bit objection to that whatsoever. The issue is they can't hand out needles. That's what is legally precluded. So that is the one component that after 120 days they need to cease to do. So that is the part. However, as we know, with the statutes, you can go to any pharmacy without any prescription and pick up as many as you like. Those rules have all been changed. So there you have it. Okay. So thank you very much on that component. I appreciate you indulging me on that.
Mr. President, what's the exact date for the 120 days? Do you know?
Well, 120 days from yesterday.
Okay.
Whatever that is on the calendar.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So reports of committees. We have ordinance. Thank you. Item number 21A, the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that the handicap sign be placed in front of 79 Newton Street for Mr. Carlos Garcia. Have considered the same, recommend that the order be adopted. Councilor Vacan, Lisi, Shatnoff, and Bartley, as well as Jordan.
Motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
This was straightforward. We received the report from the Disabilities Commission and the site visit had been made and everything was found to be in order, so we accepted the recommendation to approve. Thank you.
Okay. Any other discussion?
Thank you. It was one of my actually orders, and I know there was a discrepancy in the beginning with some of the paperwork, and I think it got clear, so thank you for processing this. I visited them and they needed it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. I believe you're making an ordinance to this effect, so is this first reading?
So motion to pass the first reading.
Okay. Second. Motion's been made and seconded to pass the first reading. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Motion to pass the second reading.
Motion's been made and seconded to pass the second reading. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Motion that the passage be ordained.
Motion, is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded the passage be ordained. There is no further discussion. The clerk will call the roll. A yes vote is in favor of the ordinance change, and no vote is to deny it.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatna?
Yes.
Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Leahy? LeBron Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee? McGivern?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Unanimous vote of the body.
By your vote, you have approved the handicap space for Mr. Garcia. Item number 21B is a report from the Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that 1 to 2 parking spaces be eliminated on Hampden Street at the intersection of Hampden Street and School Street by installing a no parking sign at that location. This intersection presents a safety concern to drivers who have limited visibility. Have considered the same. Recommend that the council adopt the recommendation of the city engineer with the DPW restriping the changing lanes. Councilors Vacan, Lisi, Shatnoff, Bartley, and Jordan.
A motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
Well, this, I will refer to the maker of the order momentarily, but this was, I thought, a creative response from our engineer to solve a problem in a more simple way than a more complicated way. So I'll refer to the maker of the order.
Thank you.
Councilor Valentin.
So I had filed this order based on some constituent concerns regarding visibility. This is when you're coming from School Street, turning left towards Hampden Street, towards Stop and Shop. The way the curve is designed and the cars park right there on the left side, the visibility is an issue. So the original thought was to try to reduce 1 or 2 parking spaces. And after I filed the order, I actually had a conversation with some of my constituents, and one of them came up with the suggestion that our city engineer proposed. So great minds think alike on that one there. And so the proposal from our engineer is that if the turning lanes are redesigned, then we're not reducing parking and we're making the visibility field a little bit more clear. So we're going to try that, and then if there's still some concerns and safety issues, then we can revisit parking. But for now, the redesign of the lanes will be what we'll go with.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of adopting the committee report?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. 21C. The Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order that the City of Holyoke establish a 3-way stop sign at the intersection of Hampshire and Chestnut Street. Have considered the same. Recommend that the council adopt the recommendations of the city engineer, installing warning signs for the stop sign by adding new striping. Councilors Vacan, Lisi, Shatnoff, Bartley, and Jordan.
Motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
This again was a discussion about a way short of creating another stop, of clarifying it to help people to comply. So it's a first step, and the committee thought it was worth trying to see if it would have an effect.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. 21D. Committee on Ordinance, to whom was referred an order at the point where the Appermont Highway turns right up the hill towards 202 and meets Rock Valley Road, that the intersection be reconfigured to a T 3-way stop. There has been a long-standing safety hazard with the current configuration of the intersection. Have considered the same. Recommend that the order be referred to the Public Safety Committee. Councilors Vacan, Lisi, Shatnoff, Bartley, and Jordan.
A motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Second. Motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Vacan.
Thank you. The committee took this up at our last meeting, but it became evident upon review and recommendation from our city engineer that if there were to be changes there, they did not require an ordinance change, and so that it would more properly be referred to our Public Safety Committee. And so I'm hoping our chairman will take it up soon. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
We had no Finance Committee reports for this particular meeting, and now we're on to Public Safety Committee reports.
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
We take item 23A through 23F as a package, please.
Okay.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to suspend the rules to take up items 23A through 23F as a package. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Abbreviated reading.
With abbreviated reading, all in favor of that?
Aye.
Oh, so moved. 23A, these are all committee reports from the Committee on Public Safety. First one up, 23A, ordered that Park and Rec Commission, DPW Superintendent come before the council to discuss the status of the Holyoke pool. Any plans are related to the cost for its repair and replacement. 23B, that the city engineer evaluate what options are available to make the corner of Hampshire and Beach safer for motorists and pedestrians. The visibility there is very limited. Item number 23C, also from Public Safety, that the City of Holyoke have the DPW be the sole one responsible for all police towing. This will help generate revenue, maintain the integrity of professionalism. Item number 23D, that the traffic light at Doyle Drive and Route 202 be changed to blinking red and yellow at the end of each class day and on days where there are no classes held at HCC. Residents are finding there's long backups there. Item number 23E, the city engineer provide recommendations to improve and make safer the intersection at Hitchcock and Martin Street. 23F, the Committee on Public Safety, to whom was referred an order, at least 3 traffic fatalities so far in 2016 have occurred, and other very close calls with pedestrians being struck, that the City Council invited the police chief to a future public safety meeting to discuss this, to discuss enforcement and mitigation efforts. The committee recommendation from Councilors Bresnahan, Leahy, Graney, Sullivan, and Valentin is that all of these have been complied with.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I remember correctly, I thought 23C we had done leave to withdraw.
You are correct in that.
All right, so let's just make sure we got that. Right, okay. So 23C. All right, it does say complied with on the order, so motion to amend to say leave to withdraw. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor of changing 23C to leave to withdraw? All in favor? Opposed, so moved. Okay, let me just edit that. And we will fix that on the agenda. Okay, very good. So we have A through F before us. All but C are complied with. C is to give leave to withdraw. Under discussion, the chairman, Councilor Bresnahan.
Thank you, Mr. President. The first order, 23A, with respect to the Holyoke pool, our new city engineer came in, who was just fantastic. Just a great guy, very receptive, gets back to you quickly. You know, I can't say enough about this guy. I mean, he's just fantastic, and not that the previous engineer was that did anything wrong, but Yem just really is on point. The Holyoke pool, to fix it, it's going to cost about $800,000. To install a new pool, it's $1.25 million. We had some major problems. There was a sewer backup that came all the way up there into this pump room a few months ago. There really is no money to fix this pool. The pool will not be open this summer. There's no question about that. It will not be open. They will be the Holyoke High School pool will be available in the summer hours. They applied for a couple grants to address the pool situation. We did not get those grants. One of the questions that came up, which I thought was a good question, was that is this the best place for a city pool? So that's something we need to consider. They did hire a pool specialist, so to speak, that looked into everything from the filtration, the liner, and all that. So for $1.25 million, we can get a brand new pool, and we can talk about where we want to put it. Obviously, it's above his pay grade. He doesn't have that discretion about where the money's going to come from or how we're going to get it. So that was the end of that. The pool will not be open, unfortunately, again this year. And due to the sewerage backup that got all the way into the filter system, I mean, we're easily spending over $1 million to fix this pool, to address it properly. So that was the decision of the night. So any counselors over there, please feel free to step in.
I will say, just for the record, I did, in the list of capital, I did forward that. I didn't mention that in police president's report, but I did forward the whole list over of all the capital bonding requests to the mayor, and he is reviewing that. Anything that counselors gave me, I did advance over, plus some additional items that the DPW and otherwise gave. Included on that was a request to bond for the new pool.
Good.
As well. Councilor Sullivan.
One of the other things that I want to thank Councilor Bresson. I mean, Kip did a tremendous job. It was excellent. He also followed up and sent me some schematics and drawings of the original plans for the pool. One thing everybody should be realizing in this, and as we go forward and talk about bonding, we relocate that pool or whatever else we go, there's now another associated demolition cost with removing the old structure also.
Right. Mr. President. Councilor Bartley.
Yeah, and I just want to thank Councilor Sullivan too, because he brought up a good point that we didn't really think about that, or I didn't think about that night. And you know, it's 1.2 million, Mr. President, with a 9-foot deep end. I mean, so Councilor Sullivan said, well, common sense. What about for a 6-foot deep end? And right there, I think he said it saved about $400,000, and it's still a pool. So, and the other part we brought up was, you know, does it necessarily have to go right there? Is there a more strategic location in the city, right, where the population that pool attracts, where we can place that pool? Well, clearly we didn't get to that, but we raised the issue that night so that hopefully the powers that be will have that part of the conversation.
Absolutely. Councilor Green.
And hopefully also was discussed the possibility of reapplication for grant money because we really desperately need something for the kids in the summer. I mean.
Oh, sure. Plan is they're going to open the high school pool again for this summer. That is the plan for that area, but you know, it's still an ongoing issue. Councilor LeBron Martinez.
Yeah, I just want to say that I am hoping that eventually, I know that, you know, it's a matter of finance, but that it is considered, as we know, if anybody ever visit that area when it's busy in the summer, it's packed of these children who I'm concerned they will be considering the Connecticut River as an option to swim. I know that the Holyoke High School is open. I'm hoping we can do more education in the community, getting the word out about being available so that they don't take those venues, because we've known of tragedies in the past that they've gone to the river and we've lost some people in the past. So thank you.
You're absolutely right. And I remember we had one year in particular, because obviously you're preaching to the choir here. I couldn't be more in favor of building a new pool. We had a year where there was funding was very tight and they couldn't do the pool, and they had hydrants open all over the city. You know, that, I mean, it's things like that. Those cause safety issues too, not just also kids swimming and, you know, just people are really, really hot and there's no place to go. And, you know, we do have spray parks and things of this nature too, but you really need, I mean, where are we as a community if we don't have at least one public swimming pool? You know, it's kind of just something we need to do.
President.
Councilor Bresnan.
And the other point that was brought up that night is that, you know, there's that liability issue to this pool. I mean, skateboarders using it, they're jumping over the fence, they're in there. I mean, it's a city-owned property. We own that. It's the city property adjacent to state property, and the kids are running around in there. I mean, you know, we either have to cover it, encapsulate it, fill it in, or do something with it, because we just can't let it sit there, because it's doing no one any good. And so we really have to figure out what we're going to do with that pool, because it's becoming a liability for the city. Thank you.
Anyone else? Councilor Lisi.
I just wanted to note that I think that this type of infrastructure project would be something that would qualify under the CPA, the Community Preservation Act. So I know that has been a topic that's come up before in the past. So I just wanted to make the mental note while we're struggling now to figure out how to manage the pool, but that would be a project that would qualify under the CPA.
Okay. Councilor Valentin.
That's actually what I was going to make reference to, and that I look forward to speaking with my colleagues about why we should definitely consider that, the Community Preservation Act. Thanks.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay. All in favor of adopting the committee recommendations on all of these items?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. We had no Charter and Rules Committee reports for this particular meeting. I believe there is a meeting coming up, though, correct, Mr. Chairman? Charter and Rules? Chairman McGivern?
I'm sorry, Mr. President, there is. The folder has been found, and we will be meeting very shortly.
Okay, excellent.
Not next week.
All right.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor Greenie.
I don't see that red book with you there, Councilor McGivern.
The red folder? Yeah.
Councilor Greeny's items will be #1 on the agenda, believe me.
Thank you, sir.
It's the other people I have to get in touch with when you see the items that are still in the folder. You'll understand the delay.
You, sir.
Very good. Let's see. We have now Development and Government Relations. We got through 25A, 25B. We now have 25C, which is always a big and major item every single year for us. The Development and Government Relations Committee, to whom was referred an order that the City Council apply for and accept the Community Development Block Grant, Entitlement Grant, and the Home Program Funds, and issue its recommendations on the CDBG allocation. Recommend that the grant be approved as amended. And
Mr. President, before we go there, do you mind if we suspend the necessary rules and take up late file B, just in case Barbara wants to go home after knowing that her order has been filed?
Oh, okay. Sure. Suspend the rules to now take up late file B.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So moved. Councilor Lisi has filed an order that says that the City Council invite in the DPW Superintendent, Treasurer, and Tax Collector to discuss the progress made on collecting default sewer fees and give a report on the success of the new lien program in that process.
Receive and send to public safety, sorry.
Public safety.
Public safety.
Okay.
With a copy to the related departments.
Okay. Motion's been made and seconded to receive, refer to the Public Safety Committee with the all those department heads listed getting copies. All in favor of that?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you.
All set, Barbara. We got you covered. All right. Mr. Chairman, CDBG.
Motion to receive and adopt the committee report.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive and adopt the committee report. Under discussion, Councilor Bartley.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. President, for recognizing the hard work of the committee. It was a 3-hour meeting, but I'll summarize in about
3 minutes.
I would say less than that. So it was a really great discussion. We were fortunate to have Alicia Zeller come and join us for the whole meeting and keep track of everything, and especially the dollars and all the rest of that. And as we comb through it line by line, Alicia's here for any questions if we need to. I'm not going to suspend the rules now, but we'll. I just wanted to make sure she was here, so in case I misspoke, she could just correct me. And I hope most of you, or not all of you, had time to read the spreadsheet put together by Alicia and her staff. They always do a really nice job for us. As the President mentioned, there's a lot of volunteer time that goes into this, especially the Citizens Advisory Committee, and their input's invaluable. And we, if you'll notice, we didn't really change a whole lot, but there's a couple things I do want to point out on the non-public service side. So you'll see on the second page under infrastructure, you'll see what the mayor and the mayor alone had recommended $200,000 for a Center City pedestrian plaza, which to orient the public at home, it would be where the bud was, basically between the Social Security building and the Mayor Prue parking deck. And we pointed out, and it was my motion, and it was supported by the committee. We pointed out that we appreciate Lyman Terrace, but we also pointed out, Mr. President, that there is a park to the east of Lyman Terrace. There's a park to the north of Lyman Terrace. There's a park to the south of Lyman Terrace. It is virtually surrounded by parks. What the point is of adding a fourth park that we have to maintain escaped us. So what we did was, you'll see, we put basically dollar for dollar into building sidewalks. And I really appreciate the support of it, particularly the Ward 2 councilor, who was really really spoke about that, the importance in Springdale. I talked about the importance of in Ward 3, where there's really no other dollars going, except for sidewalk money, and it's desperately needed. So we're hopeful the mayor will support. The other one I want to point out is that particular night, unbeknownst to us, the armory collapsed, and I mean I certainly didn't know about it till after the fact, till after the meeting, which whatever time it ended, it was pretty late. But this committee, through a lot of hard work and negotiations, took a line item for demo that the mayor had zeroed out. Now OCD put 150, the Citizens Advisory put 200,000. This committee put $234,612 into the demo line, and while none of us want to go back, but it's work that has to be done. And look at Exhibit A, the armory. We all know what happened to the Essex House. I heard Chief John Pond on the radio this morning talking about 28 other buildings in the city that are really in danger of being demoed. And so, and he talked about an additional 60 buildings on top of that with X's on them. So it was good work that I think we did. You'll notice $100,000 under housing for Revitalize CDC. Last year they just did a tremendous job. Happened to be a constituent in Ward 3, but this is a group out of Springfield that comes in and they rally volunteers, and they just fix up houses. And now there's six or eight of them on the list in Holyoke that these monies will rehabilitate and it'll really be a benefit to the city. On the public services side, that's where we really got into really grinding it out, but without as Councilor McGivern every year points out, and it's so true, the amount of dollars that we have to go around are just few and far between, and the worthwhile projects that are on there, every one is worthwhile at tenfold the kind of money, but we just didn't have the money. It's 164.8 that basically goes to these worthwhile programs. Ironically, we didn't have, I don't think we had, Counselor, I don't think we had one person from any of these organizations. I didn't get contacted by one anyhow, and I don't think there's anyone there that night, but through Alicia's hard work and the Citizens Advisory Committee's hard work, and of course the subcommittee that we serve on, I think we did a really fair job of distributing the funds so that virtually everybody here who came to the table looking for money got more or less what they asked for. Some got a little bit more, some a little bit less, but it was really a fair, equitable distribution. So. With that, I'll, like I said, we have Alicia here to answer any technical questions you might want to ask, or you can ask me any questions or any other committee members. Thank you.
Thoughts, conversations, discussions? Currently before the body is the recommendations as outlined by the DG&R committee. Motion on the floor by the committee is that the full council adopt all of the DG&R recommendations. Hearing no.
President, just on the technical vote, the real vote is the acceptance of the block grant, which is 3.7, yep, and the acceptance of the home monies, which our share would be 421,000. The full amount of that is $1,099,000 to be shared with Chicopee and Westfield. We got the highest portion of that this year, and I think that the numbers speak for themselves. 36 years ago, this block grant paid for a third of our combined public safety budget. We put most of it towards the public safety issues within the city, and now we're getting a mere pittance as the country saves the rest of the world, but ignores the inner cities.
Yeah, Mr. President, we do have the resolution before us as well. So
yes. Okay,
so I don't know how. Do I need to make a motion?
Is that in the package here?
It should be, yes, page 2.
Okay, let me just pull that up.
Alicia, are we on point of that?
Yes.
So
Councilors, there's also attached to this with the committee recommendation to accept the CDBG block grant, to approve the recommendations of the DGNR committee as the full council's recommendations. There's also, by your vote, you would be approving a resolution to the city council adopting the annual plan covering the CDBG block and the home program. As articulated, there's $1,099,157 to be distributed for Holyoke CDBG. There is a consortium home award of $797,977, of which Holyoke gets $421,333. Chicopee and Westfield get the remainder of those funds, and that would be what you will be voting on, is to accept those allocations and resolutions. Any discussion? Hearing none, the clerk will call the roll. A yes vote is in favor of adopting the committee report, approving the resolution on the home funds, as well as accepting the allocation of the CDBG block grant, and also making the DGNR committee recommendations the full city council recommendations for FY 2016. Clerk will call the roll, please.
Bartley?
Yes.
Bresnahan?
Yes.
Shatnoff? Yes. Graney?
Yes.
Jordan?
Yes.
Leahy?
Yes.
LeBrun Martinez?
Yes.
Lisi?
Yes.
McGee? Yes. McGivern?
Yes.
Roman?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Tallman?
Yes.
Bacon?
Yes.
Valentine?
Yes.
Unanimous vote of the body.
By your vote, you have approved those resolutions as well as the various allocations. Yeah, I'll put that with here. There is a copy in the folder too as well. Brenda, this is for you. Okay. That takes care of CDBG. I already went through charter and rules. We're now up to motions, orders, and resolutions. First up is item number 27 from Councilor Tallman. An ordinance be created that prohibits smoking in all city-owned vehicles. Third-hand smoke or smoky scent left in a vehicle can negatively affect other employees' health. Ordinance?
Yes, please.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to receive item 27, refer to ordinance. Any discussion?
Just a brief thing, Ed.
Councilor Tallman?
Got a message from the Wellness Committee, and I guess some of the employees, especially DPW employees, are trying to stop smoking. And I think the police and fire cannot smoke in their vehicles, but certain city vehicles or DPW vehicles, there's that actually third-hand smoke. It makes it difficult getting into a vehicle when you're trying to give up smoking, and plus it's hazardous for employees getting in vehicles that maybe they don't smoke and they get into there, and that smell is in there in the fabric of the vehicle. So it's something I think that could be helpful in the future for the health and wellness of our employees.
Any other discussion, Councilor McGivern?
Firemen cannot smoke, period.
Firemen or police, yeah, they can't at all. Yeah, because of the heart bill, I believe. Yeah.
Councilor Lisi?
If the maker does not mind, I'd like to add my name to the order.
Okay. Councilor Tallman?
Absolutely.
Yep. I think Councilor Lisi's name is a co-sponsor. Any other? Councilor Bartley?
Yeah, Mr. President, the former Ward 2 councilor, he filed a really good order and a passed ordinance to have no smoking in Veterans Park. But at the same time, we never got around to posting notice about that. So as a person who walks through Veteran Park virtually every Monday through Friday, and constantly seeing smokers there who drop their cigarette butts all over the place, I'd like to know if and when we're ever going to get just a couple no smoking signs.
Might be a good order to file as a reminder.
It is an ordinance.
It is an ordinance. I would think just an email to Bill.
Well, we're still waiting for Bill to put up the gosh damn signs out there. I mean, so what does that do for us? I mean, Bill, Bill, you there? I mean, what does it do? So.
All in favor, Councilor Graney?
I don't think we have to put up the melodramatics.
Okay.
It wakes everybody up.
Motion on the floor is to send 27 over to ordinance. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 28, introduced by Councilor Tallman, that the DPW replace all the berms that were damaged during the plowing operations during recent snow events. I can vouch for this one. I'm on that list.
I got a motion to amend it and add just a few streets that really took a hit. Just to sing, unless you have streets too.
Second.
You can just say all the berms and they'll kind of get lost, but there are certain areas in Ward 7 that got hit. So I'd like to say during the snow event, specifically Lower Bemis, Mount Tom Ave, and Hillview Road, those areas kind of took a
Lower Bemis?
Lower Bemis, Mount Tom Ave, and Hillview Road. Lower Bemis, if you saw a picture, Peter showed it to me, it was all over the person's front lawn. It was
yep. I'll add Raymond Avenue.
Just to help them out, kind of pinpoint it. I mean,
yep.
If there's more, they'll
Among
find
others.
it.
I've already pointed the ones on my street over. Councilor Tallman?
Yeah, I just want to make a point, and I did call Bill on this right after it happened. It was a while ago, but he explained to me what happened. I just wanted to put something down on paper to get that to him to remind him. They did go out and picked up a lot of the chunks of the berms that were, torn up. And he explained to me that in the wintertime it wasn't really that cold, and the pavement wasn't, frosted. So when they came up and they just hit a berm, just a little piece of it, it would take that 20 or 30 feet of those berms and they would get cut up in like chunks of 12 to 14 inches.
Yep.
And it happened a few areas. And the one on Hillview Road, actually, they got so close that they hit some rocks and some berms and almost hit a fire hydrant. So, some of it I think is, just to be a little bit more aware. Some of it was because the weather was so mild that once they hit the berm, it would break it up. And, they did pick them up, and I know they will replace them. I don't know when they will, but just to give them notice that, that some of these people are gone away and they're going to come home to where their lawn is, really chewed up and the berm is gone.
Friendly suggestion too is in certain areas where they're coming near the hydrant, they do have those flags that you can put on top of the hydrants.
This area did, and actually had
areas.
rocks in front of it, and they still almost hit the hydrant because it was around the curve coming down Hillview Road. So.
If I can sign my name on it, Mr. President.
Sure. I think Councilor McGee.
Josie. That was easy.
Yeah.
Councilor Bacon.
And since we're listing streets, can we throw Homestead Ave on there too?
Sure. Yep. Add Homestead Avenue.
There's more, I'm sure, but that I know I had a specific communication on.
Yeah, the black.
You should add Yale
Thank
Street
you.
too.
Yale Street? Okay. Okay. All in favor of the order adding Councilor McGee as a co-sponsor with all of those streets mentioned that are written here on the order as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. $29 from Councilor Tallman is the police department enforce parking regulations concerning tractor trailers on city streets and parking lots throughout the city.
That received and sent to the police department, and maybe ordinance. I think there might be something. There might be something in there already. It may not be with these trailers that are sometimes in private property and some are on city properties.
Mr. President? I've actually, this was a problem on some of the streets in Ward 4 recently, and I just reached out to, I think it was Sergeant Loftus, and basically the police department would be following up on it because there is, I think there's pretty clear language on the ordinance side already, so.
Okay.
The other, I know the classic one that I had been saying constantly was the one up behind Bennett Field next to Tokaniki. They're like lined up there on the street.
Oh, right. There's one that's there all the time on the behind the ball field.
Behind Dunwoody
right?
School.
Behind Dunwoody, right? There's one there all the time, and that seems like it's Holy Family
trailer.
Road. It's
Yeah. It's like, come on.
Right. So.
This has been pointed out. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. All in favor of adopting and sending to the police department?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 30, introduced by Councilor Valentin, that no parking signs be installed on Cabot Street between Linden and Oak based on safety concerns regarding limited visibility.
Sent to ordinance. This is a constituent request.
Okay. Motion on the floor has been made and seconded to receive and refer to ordinance. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 31, introduced by Councilor Valentin, ordered that in accordance with the recently adopted ordinance, the City Council approve a renewal of the license with the Hampden County Sheriff's Department for the former Geriatric Authority building for an additional term. Is there a, do you have the agreement? Or?
I don't, and I would like it to go to DGR since that's where special permits and properties being declared as surplus go.
Okay. All right. So motion on the floor is to send 31 to DGNR. Under discussion, Councilor McGivern.
Just a clarification, we need the applicant to put something in front of us to adopt it.
Well, that plus we're going to need the mayor's approval of it. We're going to need a signed. We need a signed agreement from the mayor that he's approved this and that it's coming to us for our ratification. Okay. Law department saying they'll have it to us by committee meeting.
And it should be approve a renewal instead of approval a renewal.
Right. That's okay. Amendment to take out the letter A in there, right? Approve. Oh no. Approval to say approve.
Yeah.
So and change approval to approve. All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Opposed, so moved. Motion on the floor is to send to DGNR. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. 32, introduced by Councilor Valentin, that the area on Beach Street on the southbound lane within 100 feet south of Hampshire Street and on the northbound lane within 120 feet south of Hampshire Street be designated as a no parking area, that this change be implemented as soon as possible to improve safety for drivers at this intersection.
Sent to ordinance.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to send to ordinance. Any discussion?
So,
Councilor Valentin?
yeah, just very quickly, this is a follow-up to 23B, which we discussed at ordinance, and so when the city engineer came in, this is based on his recommendation, so that's why the language is so technical. And again, it just kind of goes together with 23B, and we discussed it in ordinance, so we just have to kind of clean it up all together.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 3, introduced by Councilor Bartley. Per constituent request, DPW affix signs that say the following: caution, blind persons in the area. Signs should be affixed to the existing poles on Westfield Road near Woodland Street.
Motion to receive and refer to DPW.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive, adopt, and refer, and give to the DPW to take care of this.
I just want to point out where there's existing poles right there, and I just want to put it in the order, if I may, Mr. President.
Okay.
Near 1 Woodland Street. It's on Westfield Road, but the sign pole's near 1 Woodland.
All right, so amendment to add the number 1 before Woodland Street.
Yeah, yeah, and then near 125 Westfield Road. So there's existing poles. All I have to do is just affix a sign.
And near 125 Westfield Road.
Yeah, which I've humbly asked numerous times.
Okay.
So we'll just put it in order.
Don't yell out Bill, though.
No, never. Never. He's.
I won't have to use this gavel over here.
St. Bill. Oh, you've already used it once on me. very painful experience.
Motion.
Scarred me.
Motion on the floor is to amend to add the number 1 before Woodland Street and the clause "and near 125 Westfield Road." Is there a second to that?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Any other discussion?
No, thank you.
All in favor of adopting this?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 34, introduced by Councilor Jordan, that the potholes in front of 11 Pinehurst Road be filled as soon as possible. I'd request receive, adopt, refer to the DPW. Okay, motion's been made and seconded to receive, adopt, and refer to the DPW. No discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. 35. Introduced by Councilor Jordan, that the DPW and Parks Department expedite the demolition of the Mackenzie Field Clubhouse. This is a terrible eyesore, and it's taken far too long for it to be removed and the area cleaned up. I would request that this be received, adopted, referred to the DPW and Parks Department.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor McGee.
Just one question on this.
Yes.
I filed an order last summer with regards to this clubhouse in the sense of we passed bonding to do the field over and the clubhouse.
Yes, and I confirmed that, and the clubhouse part of what you just said, and the Bill said, yes, you're absolutely right. So Mr. Fuqua said, yes, absolutely right, and It's just delay. For whatever reason, it's he says it's just taking longer than they thought, and everything is not going according to plan. Fire away.
I just want to go on that point. In essence, the bonding that we approved for all those parks, Crozier, this one, Jones Point for the tennis courts, was to redo the field and redo the clubhouse to keep the bathrooms and everything.
Yep.
I just want to make sure, because one of the rumors that was starting to float around was we're going to tear this thing down, patch it, and run to save some money, which is not what we approved in the bond.
Correct.
So your order is saying to demolish it.
Correct.
Which then could lead to a nice little trick of patch it and run. So I would like to make sure.
I'm happy to amend it to add the other part, which you're absolutely right. That was our intent, was tear this down, but I'd like to get this down as soon as possible. And then when they get to replacing it and putting something else there, great, which is the intent. But
yeah, well, the intent.
This thing is just
the
collapsing.
Backdoor stuff that was being said about it. So I'm just being really cautious on this one. Because
do
again,
you
now
suggest some
that
language then?
You said demolish it, and therefore we're not going to pay for a new one. I'd say instead of demolish it, take it down and put up the new structure.
All right.
However you want to do it, so that we don't.
Okay,
get
then
that.
why don't we amend it to say expedite the demolition of the Mackenzie Field Clubhouse and replace it with the new building.
There you go.
Okay, so amendment and replace with new building.
Perfect. Second.
Mr. President? Kevin?
Yes. Hold on. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Councilor Leahy.
I just feel obligated because I'm sitting so close to former Soto's desk to ask if my name could be on that order.
I'd be honored to have you as a co-sponsor. Thank you.
Wow.
Adding Councilor Leahy as a co-sponsor. Thank you. Councilor Tallman.
Please add me on that too.
Sure. Adding Councilor Tallman as a co-sponsor.
Mr. President?
Yes, Councilor Bartley.
So 34 and 35, I'm sorry, 35 and 36, they really go together, right? So that committee, which Councilor McGee referenced, that's just so be looking at the bond. Since you put me on there, we've met once, and that was in January, and that's it. So I won't say any more, but we will certainly look at both of these. It's a $2.1 million bond. You would think there's ample funds there to do lots of things, but apparently there isn't. So
seems like forever ago we approved that.
Yeah.
Well, forever ago we did approve it, and forever ago the former treasurer sat on it for a year plus. So that's why it was a forever ago. But as far as this, my understanding just is that this is supposed to start taking place early fall, and then do as much as they can before the winter hits, and then finish it off spring of 17. So that's my understanding. And this is Archie Roberts Field, as well as Mackenzie Stadium, as well as Crozier, as well as Jones Point. So
the only thing I've heard as any sort of update, plausible reason for some delay, has been up at Roberts. There's been a discussion going on about what the subsurface should be. Under the original plan, it was going to be the traditional play turf with some of these rubbery beads. And now there's been some question from, I know at least one commissioner in particular, saying there's been studies saying that this causes either cancer or some sort of ill health effect. And as a result, they want to look at other subsurfaces, and that would cost an additional $100,000.
Well, yeah, I raised it
but
too.
whatever the decision is, they need to get moving.
Yeah, it's at some point you've got to reach a conclusion, but we haven't met on this but for one time.
Yeah, okay. Maybe you can call for or mention to them don't do the
Stella
Sullivan.
Yeah, I just want to go on record here. The field clubhouse there has gone beyond the point of waiting for bonding or any other things. You're looking at the same situations you've got with the Armory, with the Essex House, and with a myriad of other buildings going on around town. And worse than anything else, it's in an active park where kids are playing every day. Teams are working out. This has got to go. Can't wait.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And the neighbors are just furious across the street. They're watching this thing just disassemble itself, you know? It's really bad. It needs to go. So let's hope they get their act together down there to get this done. So all in favor of adopting 35 as amended, adding the clause "and" replace with "new building"? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 36 is introduced by Councilor Jordan, that the Parks Department please install netting over the left field fence at McKenzie to help prevent baseballs from going into the street area. I request that this would be receive, adopt, and refer to the Parks Department. Okay. Apparently you have some really strong hitters coming out of McKenzie.
Wow.
And I'm told there's literally baseballs going over the wall there. That's good to hear. It hasn't been any of the games I've umpired lately.
What's the distance?
Maybe it's the Blue Sox.
Oh, that's probably right. What's the distance?
Oh, left field, I'm going to say about 325. So, yeah. Literally like going into the street, like hitting the sidewalk. And what they're saying is there was a couple near misses of people walking down Beach Street.
Wow.
So that would give you quite a wake-up call if you get hit with one of those, God forbid. Councilor McGivern.
Mr. President.
Of course, Joe McGivern used to hit him over that left field wall. So tell us, Joe, what was your technique?
But if you notice the original backstop of McKenzie Field, which is a little bit further back from where home plate is now, only 3 Hoyokers ever hit Beach Street. And one was Mike June, the other was Joe Conway, and the third one I'm not sure, but Danny Breslin, I'm sure he knows. But if we just move home plate back, we won't need to put up the netting.
Yeah.
Must be a reason for that, though.
All right. Motion on the floor is to receive and adopt. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. 37. Item 37 is an order introduced by Councilor Jordan that the DPW install no engine brake signs coming down Beach Street near the high school, terribly disrupting neighbors from inconsiderate truck drivers. Police also take notice of this. I would ask that this be received, adopted, and referred to the DPW to put up the signs. Okay. With a copy to the police department for enforcement. Thank you. Working Beach Street, yeah, whatever it takes. And just FYI, just as a side note, and this is more about for me than anybody else because I'm probably the only one that did it, but I just always knew these things to be called Jake brakes. But apparently I did get a letter from a lawyer who informed me that Jake Brakes is a registered trademark of this particular company and that we're not to use the term Jake Brakes and that we should use, and so the ordinance is well written. It says engine brakes, so we're calling these engine brakes and the signs will say engine brakes. And I noticed the new sign on Cherry Street says engine brakes. So Bill's already on top of it. We took care of it, and this is all it. Yes, Councilor.
Can I amend your order just to add one more location?
Okay, yep.
To be on Homestead Avenue on the Ward 5 side of the street. It'd be south of Holyoke CC.
Okay, so
now, that was a constituent request that it was a while ago. I neglected to file it.
Homestead Avenue. Okay, what section?
South of HCC.
South of HCC. Okay, so coming up to Westfield Road.
As you're heading down towards Westfield Road.
Okay.
So on the Ward 5 side.
All right, so amend to add a no engine brakes sign on Homestead Ave.
Yeah, large. Dan, you got that covered.
Going south past entrance to HCC. Okay. All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
Also moved.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Thank you. Yeah.
All in favor of adopting 37 as amended? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. So that's off to DPW and police. 38. 38 is from Councilor Jordan that Mara Malvia be given a proclamation of congratulations in celebration of her 100th birthday. I'd ask that this be received and adopted. She's a resident up at Loomis, and you might have seen her. She was recently featured on the front cover of the Holyoke Sun. So a very delightful lady. Yes, great story.
And
all in
birthday's
favor?
in July.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Item 39. Item 39 is an order introduced by Councilor Jordan that the Holyoke City Council adopt a resolution of opposition to raising the cap on charter schools. Holyoke already has 2 charter schools, and any further increases in the cap would be terribly detrimental to the future success of the Holyoke Public Schools. That a copy of this resolution be provided to our state delegation as well as Governor Baker. Councilor Graney.
Mr. President, I'd like to be added to this.
Okay.
I'd like to speak to it too, if I may.
Lisi as well.
Adding Councilor Lisi as a co-sponsor.
May I speak to it?
Absolutely. Under discussion, well, hold on. First, I'll make a motion. Would you make a motion that it be adopted?
So moved.
And there's a second. Okay, motion that it be made, second that this be adopted. Under discussion, Councilor Graney.
Yeah, right now we have 566 students in the Holyoke charter school. We also have 175 students in the Paulo Freire School for Social Justice. The budget that's coming out of the Holyoke Public Schools for those two schools, $7,311.140 for the Holyoke Community Charter School, $2,379,487 for the Paulo Freire, for a total of $10.2 million it's leaving the Holyoke Public Schools to go to these charter schools. Now we get Chapter 70 money in the amount of $70,000 from the state, or $70 million from the state, and the city share is around $10.1 million. I mean, right now these charter schools with the 2 existing are bleeding the public school system at this point. Any more would be critical to our students.
Councilor Leahy.
Yeah, very good. And one of the things that you didn't add, and I talked to the receiver, is $2 million extra for taking kids out of the Holyoke School for school choice. So if you wanted your child to go to Northampton, to Westfield, East Hampton, that's an additional $2 million coming out of the city's budget. And and also keep in mind too that $500,000 or close to $500,000 for busing out of school, out of placement. It's ridiculous.
Councilor,
and it's also a law, and there's nothing we can do about that school choice.
Right. Councilor McGee, adding Councilor McGee as a co-sponsor. Any other discussion, Councilor Bacon?
Just a point of information.
Sure.
It seems like there is a lot of energy behind this support statewide. So I was just wondering if, as sort of a secondary language in this, that if it was to be adopted, that we would encourage the governor to include the local option.
Oh, the local approval language?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. That's probably a good. That probably is a good amendment. Yeah, because that was discussed as a possibility. So we could put an amendment that if the legislature were to adopt it, that they would make it by local approval.
That means.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Is there a second to that amendment? Second. All in favor of adding that amendment?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay. I'm just going to say a couple words on this. One was, I thought it was extremely timely for us to do this in light of the fact that the school committee just the other day unanimously voted to do a resolution very similar to this. And this way we're presenting a united front on this as a community, as Councilor Graney already articulated. Whether you're for charter schools or against charter schools, I think we can all agree at this point, Holyoke already has 2, and to go more than 2, I mean, you've got to be kidding me. I mean, this is way over the top. I mean, to spend, greater than $10 million coming out of the public schools for this is just going to decimate what's left of the Holyoke Public Schools. So in that regard, I thought it was more than appropriate to say no more increases to the charter schools. And if they do, I agree, that's good language, that if they do adopt this law, that they do put in the local approval language as well. Councilor Roman?
Yes, Mr. President. I want to, again, rise in support of this. I would like to also be added as a co-sponsor, if I may.
Sure.
Again, I want to, the thing that holds me back around all this conversation, and to kind of echo the sentiments of Councilor Graney, is the fact that under this lifting of the cap motion, there would be, for the under 25% school districts, in which Holyoke is clearly one, there would be allowed to up to 11 charter schools per district. Now, if you compare that with the amount of public schools in the city of Holyoke, we basically would have no more public education in the city of Holyoke. So that is my largest concern. There's already a mechanism in place for communities that would like charter school. There's no need to lift the cap. And just again, a point of personal privilege, I would again recommend that this is a perfect example of why resolutions are important, to send that message of leadership from the city of Holyoke to whether that's the state, federal government. So I look forward to this discussion in many future, but I applaud you, Mr. President, on this effort, fully support it, and this is a prime example of why these resolutions are necessary and needed for the city of Holyoke and this body. Thank you.
Okay. If everybody feels comfortable, I'll take this by a voice vote. Otherwise, we can take it by a roll call vote. Okay, not hearing three members ask for roll call, we'll go with the voice vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. As amended. Thank you. Item number 40. Item number 40, introduced by Councilor LeBron Martinez, that the DPW place a "Do Not Block the Driveway" sign at 57 Elm Street. Cars who are going to a local restaurant are parking in front of their driveway.
What? Customers, they said customers, I'm sorry. Customers who are going to the local restaurant.
Okay,
Yeah.
That's fine. Receive and adopt,
Yes,
because this is
essentially.
already illegal, so we don't have to make an ordinance on it. All in.
The DPW?
Yep. Motion is to adopt and refer to the DPW. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 41.
And then Westfield played after.
Thank you. Item number 41, that a no parking sign that reads "No parking between 2 and 4 Monday through Friday" be placed on Samoset Street in front of Kelly School for the safety and visibility of the children. Do we already have an ordinance on this, or not yet?
That was requested to me, and I don't recall.
So we'll refer to ordinance
We had one with the Sullivan situation with the trucks parking at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I guess it's up on top. That's the
Okay.
concern.
So we want an ordinance change then. Okay. So you're requesting this go to ordinance?
It would be, right, ordinance?
Yes.
Right,
Yep, for a law change, yep. All in favor of referring 41 to ordinance?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Item number 42. Item number 40.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
42 to 46, take up as a package.
Okay.
Second.
Motion on the floor is to take up 42 through 46 as a package. All in favor of doing that?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. With abbreviated reading?
Yes, please.
All in favor of that?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Do you have a recommendation? Finance?
Finance.
Okay. Motion on the floor that has been seconded is to send 42 through 46 to finance. Just very briefly, 42 relates to acceptance of the Shannon Community Safety Initiative Grant. Item number 43 is to transfer $7,630 to director pay for what department? Let's see, this is for Wisteria Hearse. Says Wisteria Hearse director hired at higher rate than budgeted. So someone, we're aware of that. 44, city accept the provisions of the Safe and Successful Youth Initiative Grant. 45, the city accept the provisions of the Estate Planning Outreach Grant. 46, transfer $3,500 from contracted services to overtime in the War Memorial Department. Cover some custodial backfilling of a position. Motion on the floor is to send 42 through 46 to the Finance Committee. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Yes. Item number 47 is introduced by Councilor McGee. Ordered that the wellness program and/or DPW install a temporary indoor track in the City Hall auditorium.
Motion to receive and refer to the wellness director.
Okay.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded for him to consider it and just kind of.
Yeah,
okay.
if I may.
All right. Motion on the floor is to receive, adopt, and refer to the Wellness Director. Under discussion, Councilor McGee.
As we know, we accepted a grant for the wellness program to go up and running, and as we learned from our insurance discussions and finance, they're doing a great job in order to raise awareness as well as help try and minimize the cost for insurance purposes. And then as you start seeing things going around the city of Holyoke, like the stained glass windows, they're having a campaign to get people up there to donate to help for the cost, offset the cost. You have signs around the city hall. March is walking for March. Then you have the Healthy Heart program, so on and so forth. Well, you have a big, beautiful room upstairs that if you, like I said, temporary track. It doesn't have to be something, expensive, but that people can then start doing their walks around it. Outside people, in a sense of citizens from Holyoke, using the building. It's their building, and now they're seeing the stained glass program. And instead of just standing there, they're now walking around it. City Hall employees, if they want somewhere to walk, if it's raining out or whatever, it's just something to use the facility that's not being used. When the library was up there, we all praised it because we had something going on in the building. Here's just another way to try and use a piece of property or a spot, especially in City Hall, and give people something to do, as well as tie it to other things that we're trying to fix, especially the stained glass windows. That's why I'm just trying to get at using the piece of property, help out with some of the programs that we're supporting through grants. Like I said, I don't need this track to be, the $1 million track. I mean, if they want to line it with tape, I don't mind. It's just trying to drive traffic up there. That's all.
Okay. Councilor Lisi.
I like to also involve the Parks and Rec in this project, because I think that for a while I actually taught at the City Hall in South Hadley yoga classes, and they had a very extensive adult wellness program running out of their City Hall. So it seems like something that Parks and Rec and the wellness program could probably team up to offer the community at large.
Okay. So a motion on the floor is to amend to add Park and Rec as well. All in favor of that amendment?
Aye.
So moved. Councilor Tallman.
Just want to state that I will bring this up to Julia Wilkins, who's in charge of the Wellness Committee, and bring it up at our next meeting. If I can't make it, I'll talk to her about that. I think it's a great idea.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Appreciate that. Any other discussion? All in favor of adopting and referring to the Wellness Director as well as to the Park and Rec Department? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Into the late file section. Brings us to late file A, which was left on your desk. That's a copy of Judge Mason's decision. Okay. So just to receive.
Motion to receive.
Motion's been made, seconded to receive. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Late file B, we already took care of earlier. Late file C, which is the last item on the agenda, which I alluded to in the President's report that came up just the other day, introduced by Councilor Jordan, that the mayor please provide answers to the following questions. 1, will the city be incurring any costs, including travel, hotel, meal, or other related expenses related to the chief's training in Virginia? 2, please explain what benefits there will be to the city from his attendance at this training. 3, how will the acting chief's former duties be handled for the 10 weeks he or she will not be doing their captain duties? And item number 4, are there any other local chiefs attending this training? Please respond as soon as possible. Councilor McGee.
Can you add to that, we receive a copy of what he's accepting?
Yeah, the itinerary, the whole...
Well, not just the itinerary, but the actual agreement.
Oh, okay.
In essence...
You mean his contract agreement or the agreement with Virginia?
With Virginia, he's doing this training. The training represents all this and this, does that impact the city in any way? He's doing 10 weeks of training. Obviously, it's going to bring something back to the city. What is coming back to the city? Are we on the hook for something? Especially with regards to overtime for the acting chief and how it translates down in a sense of does someone move up to captain or anything else. We're still dealing with the overtime issue in finance.
Right.
So how is that now being reallocated, if at all? So I'd like to see
what he's trying. Yeah, the new. I asked that question because it's an excellent point, and that was what I was understanding. He explained in the newspaper yesterday or today. All the days are blending together now. He said that there's not going to be any acting out of grade, and that the captain is going to just leave their old duties for 10 weeks, which makes me wonder, which is why I put in here question 3, how will the acting chief's duties be handled for 10 weeks while they're not doing those duties anymore? Presumably, we're told the reason we have 4 captains is these people all have integral duties. How can they just leave them for 2.5 months without any impact on service whatsoever? I mean, one of them, I think, is overseeing the detective bureau or something. One of them's overseeing administrative operations. One of them, I mean, they all have these massive duties that we're told that they have. So how can you just abandon your post for 2.5 months with no impact? I'd like to know how they're pulling that off. But so I think you raise a great point. Do you want to have, please explain what benefits there will be to the city from his attendance at this training, and provide us all the program materials, all the requirements of the program, all of that? Okay.
Mr. President?
Let me just write this down before I forget it, please. Including, please provide us all program materials and requirements. Councilor Bartley.
I'd like to offer an amendment as well.
Sure.
That the chief, following what Councilor McGee had to say, the chief provides some feedback to the Public Safety Committee as well as to the benefit that's going to be derived to Holyoke from his training.
Yes, I have in here, please explain what benefits there will be to the city from his attendance at this training. I'm asking for the mayor and police chief to both give, ideally I'd like a written report, then we could perhaps follow it up with a...
Well, can we do that? Can we do that in this order? I mean, just have him appear before public safety?
Okay, please respond as soon as possible and appear before public safety to discuss.
Why not?
Okay. Okay, as possible in writing. And then appear before public safety to discuss. Okay, did I see any other hand? Councilor Leahy, did you have a hand?
Yeah, thank you.
Councilor Leahy.
Question, thank you. Question's very similar to Councilor McGee. It's good to hear that the captain is not going to be working out of pay grade. However, I was just curious on our own chief. It's not even this chief, but any chief. It's the position, not the person.
Well, let me be clear. Yeah. What I heard him say, and again, I'd like to get the answer to this: is the captain going to be receiving more money? I don't know. I didn't hear that answer. What I did ask is there going to be a domino effect behind the move up? And I'm told no, they're just going to leave their former captain duties and do both jobs, chief and the former captain duties. Well, so that's what I'm hearing.
So on that, so say if the captain who's now the acting chief is out on a sick time or a vacation, now does somebody else now get bumped up to the chief? It's kind of a trickle-down thing. The second thing is onto the contract, and it's not this chief. It could be any person serving in that position. Is there something in that contract that stipulates that they can do this or they can't do this? I mean, if you're 10 weeks, 2.5 months, that's a long time to be away from your community.
I agree. And like I said, the standard police contract says 1 week. All the other members of the department are allowed 1 week of training. This is 10 weeks. So,
Mr. President?
Councilor Valentin.
Councilor Roman was first.
Oh, Councilor Roman.
Mr. President, I agree with all the councilors, and I would just like to add to that follow-up time for our committee. These all go back to larger budgetary issues. We are now ending Q3 of going into Q4 of our fiscal year, and yet we're not even discussing the budget coming up for next fiscal year and how those finances are becoming more and more dire. This, to me, on a larger scale, addressing the public safety budget, the police department budget, I would just like an update on that, because we filed that in January. It's now March, asking for a budget in April to have those larger discussions. And I see where this is specific to now, but longer term down the road in the future, these are conversations that I think I'd like to address. What if he gets elected again in the future, or what if someone else this happens in the future? I want to ensure that we as a city are protected. And going forward, I just tonight left a Springdale Ingleside meeting with about 10, 15, close to 20 homeowners, and they are concerned about the finances and budget of the city. And boy, did they give me a laundry list. And the top priority that came out is what's going on with the budget. I'm fearful of the budget and the fact that we're bleeding and the retirement accounts are going up. all of this on a larger scale goes back to budget. I don't need to preach to my colleagues, but I would like to request on this order as well an amendment as to when our five members are ready to go. We've selected them on our end so we can have these larger conversations when the city's in tight financial situations. You know, again, I go from my retail background. I'd say, nope, sorry, I can't do that training. The store's in a jam or my retail establishment's in a jam. I can't leave because I can't afford it at this moment.
Well, and then to accentuate what you just said, one of the things that also concerns me as I'm thinking this through is we have the budget hearings, right? We're going to be presented with the budget in May, and our chief of police will not be here for the budget hearings. That's a concern to me, right? I mean, he's gone till the middle of June. So we've already, you know, we're done. We're likely done with the budget at that point, or wrapping it up. So we will not have the chief of police here for budget hearings. So you're going to be dealing with an acting chief to discuss a $12 million budget. That's kind of concerning. It's not a good time for if we had to do one of these, but they seem to be sold on this is happening. Any other hands? Oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Valentin.
Thank you. So I think the wording you used was as soon as possible or something like that.
Yeah,
and so
respond as soon as possible.
Yeah. So in terms of the press coverage, it says he's leaving April 4th, which is actually before even our next city council meeting.
You're right.
So if we're looking to
That's why I late filed this.
Yeah. So if we're looking to have him and the mayor come to public safety, just to keep that date in mind.
We'll have to follow up with Council President. You're absolutely
because that's
right.
less than 2 weeks away. So
good point.
Thanks.
Great point. Okay. Motion to suspend the rules to take final action on this late file C item. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved. Motion to adopt as amended. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Is there an itinerary for Sunday for our new members or anyone that's interested?
Yeah.
Yes.
I was just about to.
Councilor Leahy, please roll through that.
Yeah, thank you. I should have done this during your president report. I apologize. However, on your desk there's an invitation to the Ambassador's Breakfast that was generated by Haley Dunn rather. 2016 Ambassador Breakfast is this Sunday. It is 8:30 a.m. at the Yankee Peddler. It's $20 a person. The best thing about this breakfast, besides the fact that we have a huge award recipient, Dr. Mary Kelly, is you get a shuttle bus up to the Kmart Plaza. And it's the easiest way to get there. So if you guys are marching, and I'm sure that you guys are all marching, right after that breakfast, you get in the shuttle bus and it gets you there, and you don't have to worry about parking or crowds and that sort of thing. But if you guys want tickets, you could probably go either through Ryan to RSVP with Haley Dunn. That's probably the easiest way. Or call her herself. Thank you.
Microphone back on. However, if you are not going to the Ambassador's Breakfast, we need you. The parade is kicking off at what time, Councilor Leahy?
It's generally about 12 o'clock.
12. So I would request everybody be up by Sandcastle by 11:30. Would you agree?
Yeah. And also ABC Pizza, which is up there.
AKA ABC Pizza, formerly known as Sandcastle.
Yeah, and they're more than happy to host the banner, and also Ryan brought up corsages there last year.
Yep.
And they're more
Flower
than happy.
Fund is picking up the boutonnieres for everybody. By the way, there's 3 members that aren't in the Flower Fund, so just re-examine that if that's something you want to do or you haven't talked to the Treasurer's office yet. Please consider doing that because we're actually getting in a lot of different requests for ads. I should have mentioned that too. Councilor Lopez asked one for the Spanish Festival. I had put that together for $100 on your behalf. The other one was the Holyoke High School Band to sponsor them for $100 an ad on all our behalf. So all of us are mentioned in that ad. So I'm just letting you know those were 2 that came up. I think there was another one too. But you'll have the poll and the sign and all that. Ryan handles all that stuff. So 11:30 up at Sandcastle Splash. If you're not going to Ambassadors, if you're 11:45, okay.
Yeah, you'd be a little late, but because they're usually lining up around what 11:15, 11:20.
11:15, be there.
But it's very difficult to drive at that time of morning.
Is.
Most streets are shut off. If you try to go down Whiting Farms Road, it'll take you an hour.
Yeah.
Mr. President, just before we adjourn really quickly, and just because it's going to be next, I mean, not next, because it's going to be before then our next meeting. Just a reminder, because it's a great way to support our Holyoke High School students, the musical,
yes.
Which is going to be Shrek, is going to be that first weekend in April. So it's going to be before our next meeting. So just wanted to do a little shout out to them because they're working really hard on that.
They are. That's going to be fantastic. Thank you for mentioning that. Any other announcements, final thoughts? Okay, motion to adjourn would be in order. Is there a second? Motion's been made and seconded to adjourn. All in favor of adjourning? Aye. Opposed? So moved. We stand adjourned.